What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I'm JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dove. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Well, JJ Wang, it's our second bonus episode of the week. It's been a fun week. Today, we have two very special guests coming on to talk about bold predictions. The first show was magnificent. Been listening to it a couple of times, going on with our Keep Trade Trash. So it's time for bold predictions with two of our Bourbon Bowl league mates. So without further ado, it's time for bold predictions. With us today, we have two fantasy experts and fans of ours of the Fantasy Courier. We have Scott and Jeff. Scott has been connecting with us, sending us notes, listening to the show, and Jeff is one of our corporate sponsors. He'll tell you more. We'll tell you more about that as time goes on. Scott, tell us how you got into fantasy football, your favorite team, any kind of background before we jump into bold predictions.
Sure. Well, I'm a huge Steelers fan. My parents are from Pittsburgh, both of them. So, there might be a homer pick down here that we talk about, but I try to avoid the homer picks, but you will see us talk about Najee here in a second. I've been playing fantasy for about 15 to 20 years. Our mutual friend, Steve, got me into it. Shout out to Steve if you're listening tonight. He got me into it and told me something that Drew Brees and Brian Westbrook were supposed to be good. And lo and behold, Westbrook went for about 5,000 yards that year and won me my first championship. So I've been pretty much addicted since then.
And Jeff, what's your background? When did you start? Where do you go? What's your strongest team?
Well, I started in high school. I just kind of did it because I like sports. I really didn't pay much attention to it. I got in with a bunch of guys that it was kind of like a secondary thing. And then as I got older, I met Wes, who brought me into the oil league, which I'm in with Scott. And I realized how serious this stuff was. So I really had to hit the books, because I hated losing. And I lost for quite some time. And then joining the dynasty leagues, what really got me into it, because I love just like building something as opposed to just every once a year. So really enjoy that part.
And for everybody, if you listen to us, if we're ever talking about our big money league, that's one where all four of us are in that league together. It's called the Bourbon Bowl. So if you ever hear us talk about Bourbon Bowl or our big money league, it's the one that the four of us do that Jeff, Scott, and myself started year one, and then JJ Wang came in later on to replace some teams that just sort of decided not to try anymore.
Bad teams.
And he's still coming out of that hole a few years later. So today we are going to make some bold predictions. By no means, well, except for some of mine, do we think that these are predictions you should go, hey, I'm going to go out. This is going to happen. I'm 100% sure this is going to happen. I do like one of JJ Wang's, but we're going to throw some out there. We're going to share our reasonings why we like that. There might be slight rebuttal, and then we're just going to do a round robin, see where we end up, see what we can motivate each other with, and then see who can razz each other. And at the end of the year, if one of us is actually right, that person will come back on the show and just gloat for a good amount of time. So we decided we wanted to do something fun to start this off and go with homer picks. We each have teams that we support. Each of us will introduce the team we support and tell us a bold pick from that team. So we'll start, since we're all close to DC and started out in Virginia. Well, Scott's a little away, but we all started out in Virginia. Jeff, go first. Tell us your favorite team and what's your homer bold prediction of the year?
Well, I am a Washington football team fan, which is still strange to say. I have been my whole life. I'm a very loyal person. And I got to say, this is an exciting year. This is probably one of the most exciting years that I can remember as a sports fan. The Robert Griffin year when he was a rookie was pretty exciting, but I always just felt those long legs were going to get broken. And I never let it get too much on me. But I like the way this team's built. And my bold prediction is that Ryan Fitzpatrick is a top 5 fantasy quarterback and a dark horse MVP candidate. So I'm going fantasy and real life here. So the way I break down fantasy football, the way that I look at the world is I like to take facts, numbers, and I like to take the person, who they are. I like Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think he's a good dude, and I've watched him play for a really long time. He's never gotten the praise he deserves. He's never had a team really invest in him, but he works hard and he puts up good numbers. And if we look back at the best team I think he was ever on, the 2015 New York Jets, who did they have? Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, Chris Ivory, I believe, was there. They made the playoffs, I believe, and he threw for nearly 4,000 yards. Fast forward to now, he's had year after year where he's gotten better and learned, okay, because he's a gunslinger and he's got to learn restraint. And now he's got the best defense he's ever played with, and he's got better position players because now he's got Scary Terry, who, look, he doesn't have Brandon Marshall's pedigree yet, but he's still new and he's got talent, real talent. Let's see, where is it? I lost my notes here. Okay. In the backfield, he's got Gibson, McKissick, and Patterson, where he had Chris Ivory, Ridley, and Powell. Tell me that's not an upgrade. The talent is on this team. And then at tight end, they had almost no tight end situation in that team. Cumberland and Kellen Davis. Now he's got Logan Thomas, who, as we saw last year, can catch the ball in the end zone, and that's incredibly important. Red zone TDs are going to be money for him in fantasy. And then Bates and Reyes has proven to be a really good blocker, which is going to keep him upright because that offensive line is good. And he's got that defense. So those mistakes aren't going to cost him. He's going to win.
I'm so excited, man.
I am so excited, man. I'm telling you. Ryan's a good dude, and I think he's got a real chance.
How'd you miss the most important fact about Ryan Fitzpatrick? He has a beard.
I know. And, I had one in solidarity out of him, but dude, that's a commitment, which is why I know he's going to be good because he is committed to that thing and he's committed to winning this year.
Well, we can say the Couriers are Ryan Fitzpatrick supporters. We do have him having a pretty money year and slinging the rock this year. We can't argue too much there. Well, Scott's going to take us up the interstate a little bit to the neighboring state to be a fan of that team.
That team.
Well, we know it's only a couple days away from the start of the season because Washington football team fans are still excited about the season. Let's regroup next week. A couple of hot takes I'll start with my homer pick. And I think that Najee Harris, I think he has a very, very good chance to be a top 5 running back this year as a rookie. And I'm going to list out our top 12 consensus picks. I kind of just went and referenced Fantasy Pros for kind of consensus. We've got CMC and Cook, who I don't think too many people are arguing with. But there's some questions about Kamara and Henry and Zeke. There's a little love-hate there. And Jones, Aaron Jones, Saquon, who's injured, Chubb, who's got Hunt sitting right behind him, Jonathan Taylor, who there's a little bit of question marks around the team, this whole preseason, Eckler, who is not a bell cow back. We know he can catch the ball, not a bell cow back. And Antonio Gibson, who I'm just not quite buying the hype because he's got some other pass catchers back there. If I list off those 12 guys, there's maybe 2 that are going to get more carries and looks as a bell cow back than Najee Harris. And those were the first 2 guys that I listed. So my argument there of Najee Harris over Gibson, Eckler, JT, Chubb, Jones,
Kamara.
Tomlin, and everyone on the Steelers so far has already come out and said, this is our guy. He's playing 1, 2, and 3 downs. We're giving him the rock the whole time. I know there's a little question mark around the offensive line, but Ben knows how to use those guys. He's a veteran quarterback. He's going to drop a bunch of passes to Najee. I could see him catching over 60 balls in his rookie season. And even behind a weak line, they've got a deep receiving core that's going to take pressure off of Najee. And I think he's a good enough running back hit those holes and go for a good chunk of yards just by rushing this year. So I got him in my top 5 as a rookie.
So is it possible you think he could lead the league in carries? You think that's possible?
It'd be tough to beat Henry. I think if Henry plays a full 17 slate this year, that would be tough. But yeah, I mean, it's in the realm of possibility. He's a top 3 as a rookie for carries. Yeah. And that's a big part of the argument, I think. He's not coming off the field. I mean, the guys behind him just
suck.
They don't do me. They don't get me a whole lot of excitement going.
Yeah, I mean, I can easily see him getting up to 350 touches. I mean, that's very, very possible. If you say he can get 60 catches, I mean, that's where it's at right there. If you can get over 60 catches, you're going to be definitely in the battle for a top 5, especially if you're the goal line back and the third down back, second down back, fourth down back too, probably.
Yeah, when I look at that list of the other 12 guys, outside of CMC and Cook, he's not coming off the field ever.
Right.
So I hear you. Based upon your argument, you're not saying top 5. You have him at number 3.
Yeah, so we were going to our oil draft last week, and I had him sitting there borderline next to Kamara at number 4.
You'd be proud. I took him in our auction draft. Got him for $39.
Yeah, that's my only disappointment for the season. I haven't picked him up anywhere. I was kind of disappointed about that. I think I got one more draft left. I think I can squeeze in somehow. Might try to reach for him just to make you happy there.
I'm proud to say I have it in our league.
Oh, you do. You do. Oh, rookie heaven. JJ Wang, take us home. Who's your homer?
Well, my homer is not so much of a fan of this team anymore as I used to be. I'm more of a fantasy fan now. They've made me too mad over the years. But growing up, I was a Cowboys fan growing up. Huge fan. Big Emmitt Smith fan. Favorite player of all time. Greatest running back to ever play the game. So my homer pick, of course, I'm going all out here. I'm saying Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and CeeDee Lamb will all be top 3 finishers for the season. So if we just look at it, before Dak got hurt last year, I'm pretty sure he was on pace for like 10,000 passing yards. Pretty sure. About 65 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure that would make him the QB1 probably. There wasn't that much, but I think he was on pace they said he was on pace for like 6,000 yards before he got hurt. Now, if he would have finished that, who knows? But that's an awful lot of yards. And Zeke, before Dak got hurt last year, Zeke was in the top 3 of the running backs. I mean, he was putting up 20-point games every game, and he was catching the ball. And then we all know what happened. Dak goes down. Cowboys suck. I mean, the defense is still bad. That's not going to change. We got CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb with bogus quarterbacks last year still had 800 yards receiving, right? And that's with crappy quarterbacks. So you bring Dak back a full year. He gets his 10,000 passing yards. That's a lot of yards to go around. So of course, me and Doug got the bet that I think CeeDee Lamb is going to at least finish top 7. So that's my floor right there. My ceiling, I don't think he can finish number 1 yet. Maybe next year, but this year I think 3 is definitely in the cards. So Dak's my number 1 quarterback. I think I don't think he can finish number 1, but he'll be there at number 2 or 3, and then CeeDee Lamb is just going to blow up this year. I'm so looking forward to watching that offense play because the defense isn't going to play. We all know that. So I'm pretty sure the final score of every game is going to be like 47 to 45. So it's going to be.
That's what I'm looking for.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a lot of point scores. So there's going to be plenty of points to go around for everybody.
Yeah, I think this is all contingent on Dak's health. But if Dak is healthy, I won't argue with any of your points there.
Little narrative you don't see if you're listening on the podcast. Jeff's in the bottom corner dancing because in the league that we're all in, his team is essentially the Cowboys.
Yeah.
More or less. It's got to be bittersweet when the Cowboys do well as a Washington football team fan.
Yes, that's kind of why.
It's 45-47. They still lose.
Yeah, true.
It's all good. It doesn't matter.
Still lose. Like I said, I mean, it doesn't even bother me if they lose. As long as they put up the 45 points, I'm happy. That's fine with me.
That's what I'm looking for.
No quarrels there. What? All right, Dov. Let's hear your bold homer pick here. I think this could be the boldest of all of them. To be
Yeah,
honest.
Totally. Because you've heard me talk. I'm a Dolphins fan. Everybody goes, "How in the world are you a Dolphins fan growing up in Virginia?" Well, when I was a child, there were no Baltimore Ravens. So on CBS, if y'all recall, a lot of times it was Danny Marino because the Dolphins were on. So I just grew up watching them. And at one point, I stopped liking the then Redskins. For some reason, as a kid, I hated Mark Rippon. So I stopped watching. I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason. I just, as a kid, said I don't like him, and I started rooting for the Dolphins. I had a starter jacket of the Dolphins. Zach Thomas is my favorite player of all time. Yeah, starter jacket. Yeah, from the Sears catalog.
Nice.
And so the bold pick of the year, I mean, there's only one bold pick you can really make on this team if you think about it. And that bold pick has to center around Tua.
Absolutely.
Because Tua was a winning quarterback with miserable stats last year, miserable as a whole from the outside looking in. He was 6-3 as a starter. You can't, I mean, that's great. That's kind of like Ben's rookie year. He had amazing starting, had an amazing record that year. Stats were not what Ben did later on in his career, but he was young, looking at that. So Tua last year was a lot more to be desired. And I blame it on two things. One is Chan Gailey. Chan Gailey was basically calling 5-yard curls for everybody. And that was the play. If you just watch the plays, and then you find out later on that Tua, I think they came back and reset it, but he's like, yeah, I didn't know the playbook. But the way it came back around later was it's not that I didn't know the playbook. It was almost like they didn't even give him the option to know more of the playbook. They didn't trust him with it quite yet. Fitzpatrick probably should have played longer last year. And then Jeff would have said that was Fitzpatrick's best team. Don't think they would have won any more games. It had been the same result for the season in the grand scheme of things. He was coming off of that injury that many people wouldn't play football again. And just coming into this year, looking at the progress that's been made from watching connections to receivers, confidence is a big thing in a quarterback, really. Like last year, he sort of had the big eyes. This year, he's standing up in the pocket, watching the passes look so much more confident and intentional in the preseason thus far. Preseason doesn't say much, but then he's also has humans to throw to this year. Last year, Jakeem Grant was his number one receiver for many weeks. Devontae Parker is garbage. As a Dolphins fan, Devontae Parker, I am snake bitten by the man. But the Dolphins went out and said, hey, we're drafting Jalen Waddle. Dude's a monster. They said, we're going to sign Will Fuller. And if he's healthy, dude's a monster. There's a big if in there. We get him game 2. Everybody's scared of him in fantasy, but that's one game. Will Fuller could be the number one receiver on the Dolphins this year. A healthy Preston Williams, who I love some Preston Williams, but he's got to be the number 4 receiver on a team. So that gives him 4 weapons to throw to. Devontae Parker, I'm throwing him in there as a 3. I put him in there as the 3, maybe the 2-3 tie there. And Gesicki, who Tua loves, and he's growing, and he's a good old Penn State guy. I know some people like Penn State, so you can't root against Gesicki. And that could easily end up with Tua starting to be more confident. You see him moving in the pocket, running more. Bold prediction, Tua, top 5 quarterback.
That's literally the craziest thing I've ever heard.
That's insane, dude.
So out of everybody's bold prediction, I will have to say yours stands probably a 0% chance.
No. We said 0.003.
I'll give him 1%. I'll give him at least 1%.
But I mean, hey, for your sake, I hope it does happen because you guys have been waiting for a quarterback for a really long time. But I don't think the weapons are all that great. I don't think Devontae Parker is all like he's had one good season. Waddle, I like Waddle, but we don't know what's going to happen in the NFL. It's a totally different game. He's not going to be faster than everybody in the NFL. Will Fuller was good with
Deshaun
Watson, but I mean a lot of people are good with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is legitimately a top 5 quarterback. He makes those guys better. So that is really, really bold.
My last argument for him would be this. Raiders, Falcons, Jaguars, Texans, Jets, Saints. Those are some of the defenses he plays this year.
It's pretty bad defenses.
Yeah.
Pretty bad, but
We might be a year away from this argument. I think Tua this would be a good season for him. When we went into our oil draft last year, I think I had him down around 20. So I think if he got into the top 10, even that's a bold prediction this year.
Oh yeah.
a realistic would be like top 12 would be like a goal for this year.
Yeah, I think that's a good goal because they have a great defense, and regardless of Waddle being a rookie, if you just kind of take a global picture of those four receivers JJ was talking about, that's a good receiving core. And Gesicki, I was doing some notes tonight. Gesicki actually, to my surprise, was the fourth highest receiving tight end last year in yards, 703. I could not believe that, actually. And so you put those five weapons, they don't have Gaskin is for a running back. So I think Tua is going to be throwing it a bit, and we're going to probably see what Tua can do this year for real. So
let's make or break.
I am excited about him as a player, but I think, top 12 is a goal.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is Chan Gailey being gone. I mean, I think that's where he takes the biggest jump, because anybody that watched that team and watched the play calling last year knew that was the big problem. And Tua took a bunch of that criticism, and that just wasn't fair.
Yeah, and Jeff and I have been talking about that for a good while, and that's how he convinced me to trade for Tua from him. Well done, my friend.
Doesn't have to convince very hard, man. I felt like you got him in every league we're in. You've traded for him. So.
I drafted him today in my charity league. So what we're going to do now is we got a couple more bold picks. We're going to speed through, or else this is going to be a 3-hour show. The four of us, we could probably sit here for about 7 hours and just talk about the same ones. The first four are the teams that we're most passionate for. The next ones are some picks that we think are bold, we think could possibly happen, and we're just going to work our way around. This time we'll let Scott give us a start on our speed round. We'll go Scott, Jeff, JJ Wang, and DJ Dove. Let's roll, Scott.
All right. Well, my next pick is Zach Wilson will be the best statistic rookie quarterback from his class this year.
Love it.
And, that's a little, because I have Trevor Lawrence in our Bourbon League, who I, spent pretty much my entire budget on. And, Lance and Fields are getting all the accolades this preseason, who everyone thinks is going to go nuts. But, just looking at some things objectively, Zach Wilson's had a phenomenal preseason, arguably the best preseason of any of these rookie wide QBs. Don't just kind of shun the offensive lines that these guys are playing behind. You compare the Jaguars and the Bears, even potentially, 49ers have a good line for their running backs, but they mix scheme a lot there. If you kind of pay attention to some of the stats that the Jets running backs have put up this preseason, they've all been averaging over 5 yards. It doesn't even matter what running back is back there. And I think Zach Wilson probably is playing behind the best offensive line of any of these rookie quarterbacks. He's a gunslinger with a high football IQ. I think he's got a very underrated wide receiver core, and they may or may not be playing from behind, even, with the team that's on the up. He's going to be throwing a lot. And while they've got a good offensive line, I don't think their running backs are anything to write home about. So, I just think he's going to be throwing a lot. And I know Trevor and the other guys are getting all the accolades, but my bold prediction is Zach Wilson's going to have the best rookie QB season.
So you kind of upset me there. You mentioned Trevor, you mentioned Lance, you mentioned Fields, but I think there's another guy you failed to mention there.
Yeah, Mac Jones.
Yeah, there we go. I'm not saying he's going to be.
I wasn't trying to disregard him either, but.
Yeah, I'm just afraid of that preseason stigma where he just comes out, kills it in the preseason, everybody gets excited, and then what happens? He comes out that first season, looks like straight dog poo. Yeah. But like I said, he has looked really good in the preseason. I've been impressed. He's better than I thought he would be. I was not a fan of him at all coming out of college.
And he's starting day one. You can't beat that.
Yeah, he's starting day one over Lance and Fields, who I think if you look at the statistics for the season long, I like that too.
Yep.
Okay, Jeff, take us on. What we got?
All right. So
Calvin Ridley.
mine is Calvin Ridley finishes outside of the top 8.
Oh.
Now, some would say this isn't very bold, but every draft I'm in, every podcast I listen to, everybody is all about Calvin Ridley this
Yes,
year.
they
And look,
should be.
I had Calvin Ridley in our league, and I had held on to him knowing that he was going to break out someday. And I decided to trade him for Stephon Diggs this year for a reason. And that reason is Kyle Pitts. Okay.
Yes.
Kyle Pitts is going to be the number 1 in Atlanta. And I'm not saying Calvin Ridley's not going to have a great year, but let's look at the people below him on Fantasy Pros. Okay. So above him, we got Adams, Hill, Diggs, and Hopkins. And then Calvin Ridley's at 5. All right. Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown. In my opinion, all better than Calvin Ridley with better situations to put up better fantasy numbers. Below them, you got Keenan Allen, stud QB, young QB Herbert to play with. Allen Robinson. Dalton may start the first quarter, but we all know Fields has that team, okay? And Allen Robinson is going to be Allen Robinson this year. Then we got McLaurin and Lamb. All of those guys are better than Ridley, flat out. They're just better than him. Therefore, Ridley is outside the top 8.
Go ahead, Dov. It's on you, man.
I got nothing. He's my wide receiver 1. This is blasphemy.
He's too.
He's
my wide receiver 1. I'm gonna just respectfully disagree.
Matt and I have talked for hours about how much we love Calvin Ridley, and he was getting mad at our podcast. He's like, "Stop talking about Calvin Ridley." Did you get him in the oil draft?
Yeah, I mean,
yes, I did.
it's going to be hard because we know they're going to throw a lot, right? They're not a good team. Their defense is terrible. So this is another one of those teams where it could be 35-30, 45-35 type games. Matt Ryan's always been a decent quarterback, pretty good quarterback. I think there's going to be plenty of targets to go around for him and Kyle Pitts. I think, like I said, I'm a huge Kyle Pitts fan. I love Kyle Pitts. I think he's probably the best player on that team. But like I said, Calvin really killed it last year. Now without Julio, I think Kyle Pitts could be a top 3 tight end, and very easily Calvin Ridley could be a top 5, top 3. But man, I mean, like you said, you named off all those receivers, and I can see all those receivers. I can see all those receivers actually finishing ahead of Calvin Ridley, just like I can see Calvin Ridley finishing ahead of all those guys. So, like you said, it's going to be close. It's going to be very, very close.
Now, JJ Wang, yours. I think there's 3 out of 4 of us here that could say this is very possible. Not probable, possible. I know one who has no like or interest for it at all. Scott.
So like I said, I'm a Cowboys fan. Not a fan of the Redskins, but this guy, I don't know what it is. It's Antonio Gibson, and I got him finishing. Well, my bold pick is him finishing as the RB1. So when the coach that was previously coaching Christian McCaffrey comes out and says he's going to be our Christian McCaffrey, I mean, I kind of believe it, right? So he knew how to use Christian McCaffrey. I think Antonio Gibson has the same skill set. I think he's probably a better receiver than McCaffrey. He actually played receiver in college. I don't know if that's true. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is really good. But like I said, they don't have very much behind him. McKissick, that was the big guy last year, but I think he's not going to be as much part of the offense as he was this year. I think Gibson's going to take over more of that role. McKissick probably flat out more of that slot guy if they need him, but they're not even going to need him there because they got Curtis Samuel. So I don't even see where McKissick actually even fits in this offense a whole lot. Their backup is Patterson. They dropped I don't know. They cut that.
Peyton Barber.
Yeah, they dropped Peyton Barber. So their only backup is Patterson. I mean, I like Patterson, but he's not going to get a lot of run. So I think Gibson is kind of like on the Najee Harris path. I mean, he's that first down running back, second down running back, third down running back, and when it's fourth down, he's going to be the fourth down running back. Because, I mean, he can do it all. I mean, like last year, he had, 11 touchdowns. He missed, 2 games? I think that's not going to change. So 15 touchdowns, 60 catches, 1,200 yards. I mean, that's maybe even more than that. The sky's the limit for this guy. I love him.
Okay, Scott, go for it. Scott's our dissenter in case nobody has called on you.
I'll kind of do 1.4 and 1 point against what JJ is saying there. So I can see it. He's on that sort of Najee path where they're going to use him a lot. I think for the football team, they have an excellent defense. They're arguably the best defense in the league this year. And they're going to be running the ball a lot. So he's going to get a lot of carries. He's going to play a lot of downs. He's going to get a lot of carries, and they're going to run the clock. I still think their receiving core is still a work in progress. I'm not going to agree with this Fitz thing that we talked about, but I do think Antonio Gibson sort of fits that mold. Having said that, paying attention to how they have approached that J.D. McKissick situation in the preseason since they made that CMC comment, I was expecting to see Gibson get in play on third down this preseason, and I have not seen it. He has come off the field on almost every third down through this preseason for J.D. McKissick, so it makes me nervous. I'm not going to argue. I think the guy is a good player. I don't have all the love for Gibson that it seems like all my buddies across the fantasy landscape do. Top 12, very easily. I could see those numbers happening, JJ. They could, but let's be pushing it.
I hope. I got him a lot of places.
Yeah.
He's starting to pick up on some of my teams too.
Well, we know you like him, Jeff. What do you think about it?
I don't think he has a chance at RB1.
No.
And he's my guy. I mean, I look, I love Gibson. I don't agree with you. I don't think he's going to be a third down back. I think McKissick is going to be a third down back. And I think realistic short yardage situation, I think Patterson's going to get the short yardage situation. I think they cut Barber to give Patterson that work. He proved when you watch him at the line, he can sneak underneath that line and get that yard. And I think that's vital. And I think Ron is the guy that cares about winning. And he doesn't care about any one guy or anything like that. And if he can save one of his talented guys from taking a hit by giving it to a different guy and kind of spreading that out, I think he will. So I don't think Gibson is RB1.
Where you got him finishing? Top 5?
I got him top 10.
Top 10?
Yeah. I don't have him top 5.
Bold predictions all over the place here. I'm going to close out with my guy. I like to just do random obscure things, apparently. So my guys on a team last year were through the first 9 games last year, the running back had 10 touchdowns. The running back was averaging, it looks like around 18 rushing attempts a game. And that running back's name was Todd Gurley. So last year, Todd Gurley for the Atlanta Falcons started out, we thought, I traded him and I got a king's ransom for him in one of my leagues because it was wonderful. Like everybody's like, hey, Todd Gurley might be back. His yardage wasn't spectacular, but he was getting the rock and he was just a touchdown machine. And people were like, whoa, this is going to be great. And then Todd Gurley died, essentially, because Todd Gurley was old. And they said, we don't want you back, Todd Gurley. You're George's son, but we don't want you back. We're going to bring in Mike Davis, a guy with not a whole lot of tread on the tires, but he's older. He could be one of those late bloomers. He's been around the league for a while, 49ers, Bears, Panthers. And last year for the Panthers, he got the chance to play. And he proved to be a serviceable running back for them. He was also getting receptions. That was his claim to fame last year. They were dumping off some receptions to him. So my theory is that with Todd Gurley, they were giving him letting him pound the rock. And now they got a Todd Gurley that isn't 37,000 years old and can catch the ball, throw those receptions into what Gurley had, give Mike Davis some of the touchdowns. Mike Davis, I'm adjusting a smidge, could be a top 7 running back. And that's Mike Davis. So originally I was thinking 5, but those top 5 are just so stout that that's not even realistic. That's worse than my Tua call. But Mike Davis still in the top 7 is kind of ridiculous. But they got rid of everybody. Royce Freeman is his backup. They got rid of the man with the giant quads. They got the rookie Huntley back there. And without not having competition is the biggest argument for Mike Davis being a solid RB1 this year, that you can get him so late in the draft. It's ridiculous that if you go wide receiver heavy or tight end early, that's the guy you got to nab because he's going to get the ball, the tread's low, and Mike Davis, top 7 running back.
So Royce Freeman actually went to Carolina.
Who was it? Who did they get?
I'm not sure who I know they dropped.
Oh, Gallman.
Oh, Wayne Gallman.
Wayne Gallman. And
that's Willie Gallman.
Yeah.
I mean, they have nobody. They have nobody else there. And they're going to, again, be playing from behind a lot and throwing a lot of passes. And Mike Davis has proven he can take over that CMC role like he did last year, take over the Todd Gurley role there. I grabbed him in our oil league after I went wide receiver heavy, and he's my RB2, and I feel fantastic about it.
Yeah, I mean, I like Mike Davis as your RB2. I mean, that's solid. Like I said, I don't see Mike Davis finishing in the top 12. I mean, like, I think there's too many good running backs for him to even come close to that. But like, if he's like 15, 16, maybe. But like I said, fine RB2 numbers. I mean, he's a great RB2. But
Yeah.
top 10 is tough. There's so many good running backs out there. There's so many good positions. Yeah.
What did he finish as last year, though? I mean, he took over after 3 games. I think he did finish in the top 10 last year, didn't he?
I'm gonna pull it up for you.
Not really sure how that worked out.
So I will pull it up as we get ready for.
So he finished as the RB in PPR leagues. He was the RB12. So I mean,
As a full-time starter, that's only 5 spots up.
I guess it's possible. I mean, hey, I guess it's possible. Hey, anything's possible, right? So we'll see. Yeah,
Adam has very bold predictions.
Hey, the next one's a little bit easier. So we're going to do one last round of bold predictions. We're going to do, this one's going to be our super speed round. We'll give our bold prediction, give about 3 reasons why. Because I could do stats on my guy for years. He's just a stud.
I don't even know if I have 3 reasons on my next one.
Good luck finding 3. I can find 3 to help you quickly. And we'll go Jeff Scott, JJ Wang, and DJ Dove to close it out. So pick one last Super Bowl prediction as we close out this day. Jeffrey?
So my next bold prediction would be Bryan Edwards is going to finish as a top 20 wide receiver. And I think this is just situation. It's opportunity meets talent. Okay. Bryan Edwards has talent and he has opportunity. I don't think Ruggs is the guy there. And but I do think that he'll help by stretching the field and opening up those middle lanes. Aguilar, I think, was wide receiver 34 last year. He steps into that Aguilar role. He takes over the number 1. He gets trust with Carr. I think it's an easy opportunity to get top 20. So
I agree with that 100%. I mean, I wouldn't even be upset if you said top 15. I'm a huge. I mean, that's a little far considering the offense, but like I said, I'm a huge Bryan Edwards fan. I like that. I like that one.
Darren Waller. Okay, Scott.
He can't be the only one that catches it. There's got to be
they got to throw it to somebody else.
Yes.
I know I had something else listed here, but I'm gonna stick with my wide receiver since Jeff started us off on the wide receiver train here. 2 different wide receivers.
Oh, I love this one. This is probably my favorite one.
2 different wide receivers that I like in the top 20 are Michael Pittman and Gabe Davis.
Yes.
Like the Indianapolis Colts, they are out of weapons. They have no one else to throw to. They literally have 0 other weapons. Here is their depth chart. Michael Strachan, Zach Pascal, Harris Campbell, and Doolin Ashton. I had to look 3 out of those 4 guys up. Okay. Michael Pittman is about to get like 130 targets. There's no way he can't catch at least 1,000 yards this year. According to Fantasy Pros, he has the 4th easiest schedule. Zach Wentz is a gunslinger. Last year, he went for 503 yards in only 12 games. Strap that out, probably about 800 yards last year. This kid is going for easily over 1,000 yards this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's 1,200. Gabe Davis went for 599 yards last year and 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns. This guy's 6'3", 212. Their depth chart. Can we just have Beasley and Sanders retire already?
Please.
Well, Beasley won't play this year.
We are going to be talking about Gabe Davis next year the way we talked about Chris Godwin 2 years ago. The Bills are going to throw a ton. He's going to take over that number 2 role. He's an extremely talented kid, and he's going to rock with it. He's also going over 1,000 yards this year and could push that top 20.
Yeah, that last preseason game with Josh, Gabe Davis looked fantastic. I think he had 2 touchdowns in that game. I mean, Josh Allen's cannon, Gabe Davis's speed. Oh, that's going to be a beautiful thing to watch. I
And
love it.
Scott's is so bold because it's a parlay. It's not just one bold prediction there. It's a parlay that he did there. So you got to get both of them for it to work. And say that last note you had there, the rookie receiver thing you threw out there as you close that. Then we'll go to JJ Wang.
Oh, no rookie wide receiver over 800 yards this year.
I hope that doesn't.
So
I hope that
last
doesn't
year, I
happen.
just wrote the stats down. Last year, we had CD 935 yards, T Higgins 908, Ayuk 748, Judy 856, Chenault 600. So 3 rookie wide receivers last year went for over 800. In the situations that we're at this year, I just don't see it happening. The best guy who has a chance is Chase. He's got all the negativity this
He
preseason.
can't catch a ball.
But yeah, you can't even catch a ball.
They have a lot of weapons. I do not trust Hurts getting Smith the ball this year, even though I love Devonta Smith. Waddle, there's just too many other weapons.
Mhm.
And then you have Moore and Marshall and the other Moore. And I just think there's too much competition. It's a good wide receiver class, but as much as we prop up these rookie wide receivers over the last 4 years, I don't see it happening this year. I'm saying that the rookie wide receivers are a disappointment this year.
That's going to be unfortunate.
Before you go, JJ Wang, Jeff, tell us your rookie quarterback bold statement there. That'll piggyback sort of on the rookie receivers.
So I have 3 rookie quarterbacks finishing in the top 20. So look, over the last 10 years or so, rookie quarterbacks have become extremely fantasy relevant, especially in 2 quarterback leagues. They get a lot of attention. Last year, Burrow in 10 games had 2,600 yards, 13 TDs, five interceptions. He was lighting it up before his injury. And then of course, we know what Herbert did. He was a top 10 quarterback last year. Fast forward this year with this draft, these guys, there are 4 quarterbacks that I think have a chance. You've got Mac Jones situation with Patriots. Look, he may not be Tom Brady with that whole situation, but he could be Matt Castle. And Matt Castle put up some stats. And Matt Castle won 10 games that year. And then you've got Fields, who I think is the real deal. He's got the legs, he's got the arm. He's going to make a big difference once he gets on the field, which I believe will be soon. Lance is a great situation. Kyle Shanahan knows how to use his quarterbacks, especially when they got a rocket arm and great legs. And then you've got, the golden boy, Fabio, down in Jacksonville. I mean, look, out of all the quarterbacks, I think he has almost the worst situation. Oh, I forgot about Wilson. Scott's fantasy bold prediction earlier. Wilson has a good opportunity because they're just going to throw the ball. So, I mean, there are a lot of great rookie quarterbacks. Finishing the top 20, I don't think is out of the question. And I say 3 of them do.
I think even bolder, you could go all 5 of them top 20.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say that while he was talking about it. I was like, you're not talking me into all 5 of them being in the top 20.
Yeah, I think this will be a truly historic QB class.
I agree.
Wow.
With you.
That's saying a lot. There's been some great quarterback classes.
Yeah. It's an exciting year.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited about this. So I'm going to jump into. I'm not going to take too long on this one because this one's kind of really hard to
It's ridiculous.
argue with. But I was like, this is more of a gut feeling than it is anything. But mine is DeAndre Hopkins finishing outside the top 10. I know it's hard. I mean, he gets like 160 targets a year. I get it. Like I'm not a huge fan of that offense. Hopkins last year wasn't a touchdown guy. I think he only had 6 touchdowns last year, and I really don't even see that changing this year. So they bring in Rondell Moore. Maybe he's actually a good receiver instead of like everybody else that he had. And then they got AJ Green. Maybe AJ Green can stay healthy. We don't know that, but if he does stay healthy, we know he is a legitimate wide receiver. And we know Kyler Murray is a good quarterback. So instead of those 160 targets, maybe 30 to 40 of those go somewhere else. I mean, I know that's a stretch. I know Kyler Murray probably loves him, some D-Hop. But at some point, DeAndre Hopkins can't be the only receiver on the field for you to win games. Like, his whole career, he's been the only receiver on the field, and they never win. I know he had Deshaun Watson. They were great together, but did they really win that? I don't think they ever really won anything, right? Because he's the only guy, the only guy on that team. So, like I said, if they want to win, they're going to have to spread the ball out. You just can't focus on Hopkins. He's not going to get the touchdowns because I don't think he's that red zone guy. I know it's hard to say. I know it's hard to watch because he's been that guy this whole time. It's a stretch, but it's very bold. But while I'm gonna throw this in there while he's finishing outside the top 10. I do got somebody to replace him inside the top 10, and that is Brandon Ayuk. I think Brandon Ayuk is going to kill it this year. The last 6 games, I think, last 7 games last year, he was at over 20 points a game. I know they weren't fully healthy, but they got better quarterback play. I know Kittle's good. I'm not a huge Kittle guy, but I think Ayuk is actually that guy, and he can actually take over that number 1 receiver, maybe the number 1 target on that team. So good, Brandon Ayuk.
JJ, do we own the same fantasy team or something? Because I think our brains are great here.
I'm not going to lie. In the Bourbon Bowl, I would much rather have your team than my team. But yeah, I love your team in the Bourbon Bowl. I got you finishing really well in that one. I think you're right there on the cusp. But yeah, we got the same. They got the same taste. I think.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
it looks a lot like your.
I like that my team.
Yeah, we do have a top 2 teams according to the
Jeff has a team to beat this year. There's no doubt about that.
So we'll close it out with my guy.
Pretty good too.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say I'm chopped liver here. We're gonna close it out with my guy here to that I think could sneak into the top 10. He's a guy I'm a big supporter of. Is Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton's had his coming out party a couple of years ago with 1,100 yards and still had 6 touchdowns, but he did that on 72 receptions. And then last year, his knee looked like shredded meat. Like it looked like an old pork roast. It was the worst thing ever that you could always hope for that big guy to. But the bonus for him is it happened so early in the season. It did take him a little while to get going, he was a couple games in, but he's coming back this year into a team where the pressure's not going to all be on him. They've got 2.5 good receivers. I'll give you half.
Hamler and who else? I don't know.
Yeah, Judy, some other guy. Tight ends are 2 tight ends. It looks like Fant might start a little bit later than everybody else with a little injury. But the other guy whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce incorrectly on the podcast is starting the season. And I just picked him up in one of my leagues. Is looking like he was actually one of Drew Lock's tight ends in college, which is why he is on the Broncos right now. But Teddy Bridgewater last year supported 2,000-yard receivers. Teddy Bridgewater, we've always said 3. I don't know where we've got that stuff from, but Teddy Bridgewater made Robbie Anderson look like an NFL receiver. And if Teddy Bridgewater can get Robbie Anderson 95 receptions for 1,096 yards, hopefully he can do that with a guy who's got more talent in his left pinky finger than Robbie Anderson has in Cortland Sutton. Size, talent. He's a monster of a human being, and he should be able to catch more touchdowns than all of the Carolina Panther receivers combined. So Cortland Sutton, top 7 wide receiver.
I think that's going to be kind of hard considering he's the 2nd best receiver on the team. So, and I don't see Denver putting 3rd best receiver on the team. I don't see Denver putting 2 receivers in the top 12. So I would say Jerry Judy's a little bit better. Like I said, Cortland Sutton, I think it might even take Cortland Sutton a little bit to even come back because it's not so much when it happens, but it just takes them a while to get confidence in that knee. But like I said, I think Jerry Judy's just a better overall receiver, and it's going to be hard for Sutton to overtake Judy as the number 1 guy.
I think this is a good lead into my Super Bowl pick here because I love everything about this team.
Oh, spoiler alert. On Saturday's show, we're going to bring back all of our guests from this week to give their Super Bowl pick. So Scott gave a spoiler here. You'll hear from them again. You think you got rid of them? Can't get rid of them. They're coming back. So thank you, Jeff and Scott, for being with us for this bonus episode. Scott did win the award for first email to the Fantasy Couriers at gmail.com. And you'll be hearing more about Jeff as time goes on and life slows down for him and his busy business. And we'll be highlighting him again later on as our first corporate sponsor, but to be coming. So thank you guys. JJ Wang, take us out. We'll have Scott and Jeff rock with us to the closing song.
Yeah, great show. I've really enjoyed this week. Listener Appreciation Week is fantastic, fun times, great laughs. Like first time actually getting to see Scott here. Of course, we've talked a couple times. Seen Jeff at our auction league. Good to meet y'all. But as always, trust yourself and trust the process.